Thy will be done. These words are just so easy to say, but so hard to live out. Because oftentimes, God calls us to do things that we don't want to do. For example, being patient with our family, or being kind to that really irritating person in the office, or giving up some of our time to help someone in need. Yet these things are nothing compared to what the person who taught us these words did. Christ endured a long, lonely death on the cross out of obedience to God. And yet that is why in the Garden of Gethsemane he prayed, "Not my will be done, but yours." We need to imitate Christ because ultimately God sees and knows everything. And yet we find it so hard to say those words, "Thy will be done," because we don't trust God. And we want to be the one calling the shots. And the funny thing is that we trust ourselves more than God. And in some ways, that's like when you get a new product and instead of reading the instructions, you decide that you're just going to say, "Oh, I'll figure it out on my own," and then you end up breaking the product. God knows everything about our lives. He's the expert, and yet we find it so hard to follow him. We need to learn to trust God's will. And once we have trusted in God's will, then we need to do it. But following God's will and making it on earth as it is in heaven requires that we know what God's will is. And that requires, wait for it, prayer. The Catechism says, by prayer we can discern what the will of God is and obtain the endurance to do it. And that endurance is so important because getting to heaven isn't just about words, it's about action. It's about doing God's will. So this week, as we meditate on these words, ask God what he is asking you to do, who he is asking you to help, where he is asking you to serve. And then through these words, ask for the strength to do it. Until next time, enjoy the desert.